I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Come on, Shitla. Let's get the move on.
Say yes. Let's be happy together, Joe.
I can't say yes truly, so I'm not going to say it at all.
The system is rigged. They want us to think it'll protect us, but that's a lie. We protect us. We do.
You coaching football, mate. You are a legend for doing something so stupid. I mean, it's mental. They're gonna fucking murder you.
Well, I've heard that tune before, but here I am still dancing.
Legend.
Yeah, I made you.
And the world's gonna know your name. What's your name?
My name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe. How are you?
Good. This is a big occasion because
Sure is, yeah.
we usually do this every year on January the 1st in some sort of pub or a rest. No, it's not a restaurant. Is it a
Bar.
pub? Bar. Thank you. That's the word. We sit down, two of us and another friend, and we discuss our favorite movies of the year. And I mean, every podcast is doing this nowadays. Every movie site is counting down their favorite movies of the year. And we're obviously going to do that too, because we are that
Basic.
basic, yeah. No, but we couldn't do it this year for obvious reasons. We couldn't all meet up and talk about it. Usually in a very either hungover or under the weather state, right? Usually someone's sick on January 1st when we meet.
Yeah, pretty much always. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But it's always fun, sitting down with a cup of coffee or a beer or whatever and just talk about our favorite films of the year. And I'm somewhat happy we can still do it now over the internet now, but it's just made me think that, dude, what a shit year it's been. Honestly, I kind of it's hitting me more nowadays that it's just because there's like no real end in sight. I know there is, but not really,
Yeah. It kind of hit me as well last night when I was walking home from work, and I was like, dude, I would love to go for a beer in the bar right around the corner from my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I can't do that, and I haven't been able to do that for months now, which just sucks.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. Hopefully, we'll get back to somewhat of a normal life soon.
Yeah, and some more normal releases this year.
Sure. Yeah, it's been a very I write down every movie that I watch, and I have once we meet for our discussion, we never create our lists beforehand, but once we sit there, we just talk about it and we create the lists on the go or on the fly. And I always have my list prepared of films that I watched, not my top 10 list or whatever, but just all the films that I watched. And this year, I watched almost half of what I usually watch. It's been such a weird year. I don't even know why obviously we haven't been to the cinema, but you would think that there's more home releases, but I've watched compared to other years, almost, as I said, less than half. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much same. I mean, they kind of kept the big releases and kind of pushed them off till next year.
Yeah.
And what I have, instead of a lot of movies that I've seen, I've watched more TV shows probably.
Yeah.
Now that I time, since we talk about the best thing we've seen, which also includes TV shows, which might also make an appearance on this list, because usually our lists only include movies, but...
It's a nice little change, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit different than everybody else's, I guess.
Maybe a YouTube video?
Yeah,
that doesn't sound like could have been, Those bloopers were pretty great.
Yeah. I didn't.
I thought about
movies. Yeah. But there's still a couple of good things, and having thought back, there were a couple of very cool releases at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Before the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
And
I thought about this. Remember, in February or whatever it was, we were all just sitting in the theater, everything was normal back then.
That's what makes it so weird, because I looked up on Letterboxd, what have I actually watched this year, and I saw a couple of films that I was so sure that happened last year, just because it seemed so different. It seemed like a whole different world,
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, so I found some gems there which are gonna make an appearance.
Okay. Yeah. How you doing otherwise? You doing good?
In life or on my list?
Well, whatever.
I'm doing okay. Got a dentist appointment finally coming up.
Wisdom teeth.
Also, yes, just having a general look around.
A look around.
I've been promising myself for a long time to kind of get a couple of checkups just because I'm naturally paranoid and
yeah, you should get your movie taste checked. It's really pathetic these days.
Shit. Shots fired.
What was that reaction? It's like a Valley Girl reaction.
Was it?
I don't know. Probably not. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. But apart from that, just stress because of exams coming up as always, and I'm so much looking forward to February.
Yeah.
More than probably ever before in my life.
Well, like last year probably, right? Probably had the same thoughts last year.
Maybe? No, because last year was my first year at university and I had my first exams and I was kind of excited, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah, that died down. That died down quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. But, you know, if you catch COVID, it's supposed to, like, in some cases, you lose the sense of taste. That's it. You lost your taste of music. You lost your taste for films. No, I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, so far I'm good, and I think I've got some cool things on my list, and I'm interested because I think our lists are gonna diverge heavily once again.
You think so?
I think there are like 2-3 things that I see on my list right now that are definitely gonna come up on your list, but apart from that, I'm not so sure.
Well, I think because there's like less movies and shows to choose from, it'll be quite similar.
I guess there are like 5 films I have written down that I really want to watch, especially the last like 3 weeks. I tried to watch them because I knew the special was coming up, and I tried to watch them and find them anywhere, but I just couldn't. I couldn't find them anywhere. And yeah, too bad. I would have loved to see them before we record this, but
yeah, I haven't watched anything like past December 31st. Not because of like, not because I didn't want to do it. It's just I just didn't find anything that I felt like was necessary for me to watch.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a weird list and a weird year.
Yeah, anything that I've watched past December 31st is not going to be on my list.
Okay,
it's just going to be an honorable mention, maybe.
No, but it could be. As I said, I would have included it if I had watched something. It's just
I think but the best things that I've seen this year, I've seen in 2020 actually.
Right. So,
right.
Do you want to tell them how the show works?
Yeah, sure. So on our special episodes, such as this one, is that English? Such as this?
Sure.
Whatever. We talk about the best thing that we've seen, usually from a person's career, but this time we're going to talk about the best thing that we've seen from 2020. That means films that have released in 2020, especially in Austria, with a bit of a different release schedule than the US, UK, etc. But since most films were released on VOD, video on demand, it's not going to be that much of a difference, I guess, this year. But do you have one or two things that, just looking around, there are some things that have released like at the end of 2019, but released way later in Austria.
Yes.
Which can happen. And also at the same time, we did go to the Vienna Film Festival, which does also mean that we might have something on our list released in 2021. So
I know. Okay, I'm expecting the same movie that once shocked me before to make an appearance on your list. You do, and I'm pretty certain myself.
But yeah, we're gonna do a top 10 list and kind of count down to the best thing that we've seen all year. And as always, we don't know each other's lists, and I think it's your turn to start this time.
Yeah. Just picking up on what you said, I think there's a couple of things that I like for, in case any American listeners are watching, American listeners are listening, great English again. Like there's some movies that are certainly thought of as 2019 movies over there, but it always takes longer to get to us, unfortunately.
Yeah, if Soul had released in cinemas, we probably also would have gotten it way later.
That's interesting. Do you think so?
we always get Pixar films like 2-3 months later, right?
That's actually true, yeah.
Like with Toy Story 4, which we
Yeah.
didn't mention when we talked about the best Toy Story film.
No, I know you said it's your favorite of the three. Of like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a conscious thing of like just, but you enjoyed it too, right? The fourth
I
one?
I did, but less than 3.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
All right, start us off.
I'm excited, dude. I love these lists.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately, it only happens once a year, but we said it to our friend too. We'll still discuss like because when we usually do our list, we do like the top 20 movies, and now we're gonna do the top 10 things. So there'll be other things we can discuss with him. So we actually can have this discussion twice, which is it's not a bad thing. All right, let's do it. My 10 is going to be, I think, have you mentioned this? If I say something and it's much higher on your list, we're simply going to save the discussion for later, for once we get to it on your list or the other way around.
What is this going to be?
It's way higher for you.
Yeah.
My 10 is, want to take a guess?
Ooh.
Probably not, because you don't want to ruin your list.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, yeah.
My 10 is 1917.
Yeah, that's higher.
Yeah.
All right, for my number 10, I've struggled a lot with this one, what to put on my number 10. And I just want to make clear what qualifies I picked to be on my list for the best thing that I've seen all year. And I thought about that it should be something that I enjoyed and that something that kind of stayed with me, something that I kept thinking about it. When I see other movies now, that I kind of think back to that film.
Okay.
And that's how I try to create my list. So maybe something that I would not have said I liked more than the other film still is higher on this list just because it stayed with me more. But anyway, my number 10 is something I try to pick 2 things for my number 10. I know this kind of breaks the rules, but whatever.
You rebel.
I know, thank you. And one thing is Knives Out, which I have only been able to see in 2020, but I know you've seen it in 2019 and it was your favorite film of 2019 if I'm
It was number 2.
Number 2, all right.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, Knives Out is completely valid because that is a 2020 Austrian release.
Yes. And I just want to make it clear, and it released in most countries like 3 months earlier than in Austria. I looked it up, and Austria was one of the last countries to get it, which it's just a lot, I guess. And it kind of shares this place because I couldn't decide with Mandalorian Season 2.
Right.
Because those are 2 kind of fun things that I've enjoyed very much, and they do have kind of stayed with me just as, I don't know, very fun experiences, I guess.
Yeah. Please pick Knives Out so we can talk about it. I haven't included it on my list because I got to see it in 2019, but this would have been my top 2 probably. Let's talk about it. I love this
because
movie.
I think we've talked about Mandalorian Season 2 a couple of times before now. So.
Every week it feels like.
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody has.
Yeah.
And so Knives Out, it came out early this year in Austria, but it came out 2019 in most countries. And it's a film by Rian Johnson. And it's a bit of a old school murder mystery movie, but with a bit of a modern take on it.
Yeah.
With a all-star cast pretty much. You got Jamie Lee Curtis in there, you got Michael Shannon, you got Chris Evans, you got Ana de Armas, if that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you. And many more. Right. Could have been nice, but but yeah, and
well, Daniel Craig,
of course,
the star of the show, in my opinion.
Many more, and you got
Mandy Moore is in this.
She is.
Did you say many more? Right.
I didn't say anything.
You said many more.
Many more, yeah.
Yeah, I made a joke.
Yeah. All right. But there's also one actor in there who I enjoy immensely.
Yes.
And of course I've forgotten his name.
It's Lakeith Stanfield.
Thank you so much. That's very embarrassing.
No, it's not. It's not a...
It is because I do enjoy him very much, and the
name is not the easiest to remember,
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, you've been a huge fan of this film, and you hyped it up a lot for me.
Well, that's not true.
Well, quite a bit. Putting it your number 2, and you said you saw it at the TIFF.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in
in normal times. Yeah.
Yeah. And it did sound quite fun, to be honest, and it was very enjoyable. But it wasn't everything that I hoped it would be.
Okay.
just I think I've talked about this with a couple of other people, including my brother, who kind of agrees with that. But I don't want to say anything because, of course,
please do.
like an old murder mystery film,
Oh, you didn't like
it takes its quick twists and turns.
You just didn't like the story?
Parts of it,
Okay.
especially towards the ending. But it was such an enjoyable film, and just Daniel Craig's accent and Ana de Armas, just great performance, just really sold the film, and just the color scheme. It's so fun to look at. It's just a fun film to watch, and I would love to rewatch it.
I remember, like, on one of our earlier episodes, I mentioned the video of Rian Johnson sort of deconstructing a certain scene of it.
Right, yeah.
I think that's the only time we talked about it. But, yeah, 10 is low, dude. But, I mean, I respect it, but...
it is the best things that I've seen all year.
Sure.
And to be honest, yeah. I
mean,
know.
Daniel Craig's character, like Benoit Blanc, it's just... probably one of my favorite characters in recent years. I think he just has so much fun with it. And as you said, the accent is just brilliant, and the donut, the hole inside the donut. I mean, I love this movie, and I think Rian Johnson had so much fun with it. And there is a second one coming, also starring Daniel Craig. Yeah, he's going to make that sort of a series of murder mysteries with Craig as the main detective to sort of,
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And if
it's
you
going to be good.
want to watch Knives Out and you haven't gotten around to seeing it, it's on Amazon Prime for free right now.
Yeah, well, it's basically about it's the I was going to say the grandfather, but what would you call that? The head of the family?
Yeah, the patriarch. That sounds a little tough, but yeah.
Yeah, he's found dead with a sliced throat in the attic of a house where everyone. I think it was at a party, at his birthday party.
Yeah.
Or a retirement party? I think it was birthday party, right? I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's been now pretty much exactly 1 year. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too. But then obviously Benoit Blanc is sort of trying to get to the secret of it and interrogating all the family members one after another. And I just got to say, like, when I saw this, I saw this at a special screening because they added another screening of it because it was one of the most popular movies at the film festival, and I was so happy that I got to see it because when we first got to Toronto, it was we didn't get tickets to it, and we only got them because they added another screening, and just the vibe, it was completely packed, and the vibe of just, I don't know how many people were in that room, but so many film fans and lovers of film just enjoying the hell out of it, and the atmosphere was just incredible, and it was so funny at times too. The movie, it's just expertly written, I thought.
Yeah. So if you're kind of a fan of these old school crime movies, do check it out. I think it's got something for pretty much everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What's your number 9?
My 9 is something we talked about it. We talked about this quite a lot on the podcast, and quite recently too. But maybe by now you finished it. It's Ted Lasso.
I have finished it. Yeah. Wow, that's your number 9. That's high.
Well, is it 9 out of 10?
Well, yeah.
Well, I was also contemplating like my 10 spot. I had like 2 things fighting for it, and I'll get to the honorables afterwards. But Ted Lasso was a late addition, but it's got to be there. I really enjoyed the show as a football fan and as a fan of Jason Sudeikis. I just liked the vibe of the show. It's this really lighthearted show of a guy who's just a genuinely good guy. I mentioned this before. I mean, he falls into every trap and just gets up and tries again, and the odds are all against him, but he somehow prevails, and or not. It's up and down, but it's also got this family element too, with him and his wife and his son. I thought it was very sweet. And also,
it was
like,
very nice.
how they when they met and they talked on the bench in one of the later scenes. Really sweet, and something I didn't expect in a show that it's mainly about an American football coach in England.
Having watched Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, he kind of reminded me of Mr. Rogers, just of how positive he always stays and how perplexed everybody is at that.
I don't remember him singing in Ted Lasso.
I'm sure there's at least one scene.
Probably, right. There was this karaoke episode, wasn't there? I don't think did he sing? I don't think he did.
No, Beard sang.
Yeah.
as far as I'm aware.
Sure.
Coach
Your
B.
favorite character, yeah.
Yeah. No, my favorite character is Juno Temple.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So what did you think of the whole show? Like now that you completed it?
It's a fun show, and I do think I'm gonna come back to it at some point. Maybe not when season 2 drops, but maybe when season 3, 4 is out.
Okay.
And I'm gonna catch up on it. But yeah, it is a nice show, and I did have fun with it. I wasn't a huge fan of parts of the ending. They did seem a bit predictable.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe also because you dropped a comment about the show, which made me think, all right.
What did I say?
I'm not really sure, but it said it does. I said, like, does it end like this and this? And I said, oh no, it has a bit of a more of a nuance or a bit more surprising way, and they did kind of talk about outcomes to things. And then I was like, all right, this seems like the most.
I don't think I've ever said nuanced on the show. I don't have that kind of vocabulary.
There you go. Nuance. Should I give you the definition? But yeah. It was a nice show either way. No, I don't mean like predictable just from the ending, but just from character development.
Yeah.
You can expect that, but that's fine from that kind of show, and it is just fun, as you said, to watch, and I would recommend it if you want something new to watch, because I think there's always kind of a audience for a lighthearted show, if it's, I don't know, Friends or I don't know what. I think it's always nice to have that kind of show at your back and call. Yeah.
It's an Apple original, and it deserves that title. And by the way, Friends, we talked about it. It's on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's back. Apparently, it's a Christmas
surprise. Well, it's not on Amazon anymore.
Surprise.
You were right about that, but it's now on Netflix. Yeah, that's convenient.
Yeah, might get to rewatch it now.
I just loved on Ted Lasso, one of the I think in one of the last episodes, maybe even the last episode, when he drew up an American football play. I just laughed so much at that. I don't know what he called it, like the Lasso play or something.
The Lasso special.
Lasso special, yeah, I loved it. All right.
I wonder if something like that would work.
And never. Yeah. No way. Absolutely zero chance.
All right. My number 9 is something that's... I'm going to take a shot and say it's not going to be on your list. And I wasn't sure if it's going to be on mine, to be honest.
Sure.
But like I said, it's not just about how much I enjoyed films. And I did enjoy this very much, but also how much it stuck with me.
Yes.
And that's why I got Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always as my number 9.
Oy vey. Yeah, that did not make my list. That sounded like I hated it. No. Yeah, absolutely fine. I did not make my list. No.
No. I did. We watched this together, and we talked about I don't know how many episodes now. 10 episodes ago.
I don't know, but it was at the film festival special, the Biennale special. Yeah.
So yeah, and it is a tough film to watch, and it's got some very adult themes. We talked about this before, but it's about 2 teenage girls, one of whom is pregnant, and she's underage, I think. So they go to New York so she can get an abortion, because in her state where she lives, it is illegal for minors to get an abortion without the permission of their parents or legal guardians, and of course she doesn't want anybody to find out.
Yeah, I think it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah, probably. And yeah, so they go to New York and try to do this, and her cousin comes along to kind of support her, and it's a journey about trying to do that, and then being asked through a series of questions, which she is supposed to answer with Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, about her sexual history and sexual violence that she's experienced. And a big theme of the film is also harassment and sexual violence they kind of encounter on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Which is especially hard to watch since they're supposed to be underage.
Yeah.
And it is a tough film to watch, and it is quite an experience. And I would recommend this film to a lot of people. I know it's not for everybody. Like I said, yeah, it's hard to watch, but it is something that stuck with me a lot, especially that scene where they get asked these questions. And I don't know, yeah, I think it leaves a mark in some way, and it kind of pulls back the curtain on a lot of things which you might not think about, especially as a man, I guess, of how prevalent that kind of harassment is. And
yeah, that was a great scene. Fantastic and so well acted too.
Which one?
The one you just mentioned, the Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this pops up in a lot of like best
it really does
lists.
Yes.
Yeah. As far as I've seen, I've just looked through 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And it does deserve a spot.
Actually, I didn't. After we saw it, I knew there was some buzz around it, but I thought it was more like I whenever I mention this, and I mention it quite a lot, I always crease up because it makes me like. But like the cinephile community, please. It sounds horrible, I know, but I follow quite a lot of people who would consider. I don't consider myself a cinephile. I consider myself a lover of movies. A cinephile is someone.
It's the same thing.
No, a cinephile. No.
File.
You would.
It's like literally.
No, you would call yourself a cinephile. I think that's. I think that is.
So, no.
No, you see, but you would call yourself a lover of films. See. I think
film
cinephile.
enthusiast. How about that?
I think cinephile sort of. What's the word? Implies that you know so much about movies. It's sort of, I think it's a very like,
it comes out.
You're full of yourself
douchey.
if you call. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I try to stay away from it. But sometimes I can't think of a different word. But a lot of people that I follow on social media are like movie critics and cinephiles and whatever. And I know that they enjoyed the movie quite a lot. But apparently it's sort of managed to find a bigger audience than just the cinephiles, which is great.
It is just because those scenes just stick with you so much that you kind of keep thinking about that film. So,
I had some issues with the film, which we talked about. I don't want to get into it now because it would take a while, I think. But I like the film, and I thought, I thought it was a well-made film about a very important subject, as you said. And very well acted, directed by I think Eliza Hittman. It was.
You're way ahead of me on that point. Yeah,
I think so because I think we talked about this too. And I also had to. I also made a little. I forgot the word again. I didn't know it back then, and I still can't think of it now. But for the radio station, I did like a little.
Right.
What was it?
A little montage, a little preview, trailer.
Sure.
Announcement.
I recommended a lot of films that I saw at the film festival, and that was one of it, and that's why Eliza Hittman stayed with me.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 8?
Let's see if you remember this film. My 8 is I See You.
Fuck you. I See You. What was that? All right. That was.
Fuck me.
Because you rightfully called me out that I do not remember what this film is.
Well, it was one of my picks. I think in like episode, I don't even know, half a year ago. I mean, we've had quite a few picks, so I don't blame you. It's this Helen Hunt film where I said it was like a C movie in the beginning. Maybe that triggers it.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon. It's probably the movie on my list that caught me by surprise the most this year. I had like no idea about it, and I watched it, and something happened sort of halfway through this film that I'm not going to spoil, but that is just fantastic, and that sort of turns everything on its head.
Was that one with the frog thing?
That is exactly it.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
I've actually thought about that thing with the frog. I was like, dude, which fucking film was it? And I just couldn't think of it.
There's a frog mask involved in the film. And this is one of those films that I don't want to say anything. It was hard for me to describe it back in the episode when it was my pick, but it's even when you look at the comments in the trailer, it's like everyone's like, you have no idea what this movie is about. Even when you watch the trailer, it's actually quite a good trailer because it doesn't give away anything. But it's just it all sort of takes place in a house where strange things are happening, and a family of 3. One of them is a police officer, one is Helen Hunt, and one is the son. And the son has anger issues because he hates his mom for something she did, which gets revealed throughout the film. And the police officer sort of he's investigating, I think, the disappearance of or the murder of some children in the area, and then strange things are happening inside their own house, and it is great. It is really great. I mean, the ending, sort of the ending is a bit like okay, like not as great as sort of the reveal halfway through, but sort of the journey from the halfway point to the end is really, really good. Really, really good. Even the ending was good. I don't know what I was saying. It's good.
Interesting. Yeah, I looked through our old episodes, especially like through the thumbnails to kind of look through things that you might have mentioned that might make your list, just so I can maybe watch it as well, so we can talk about it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I either overlooked this one, or was it before we had our thumbnails?
No, it's got a thumbnail. It's got a thumbnail, yeah.
Yeah, then I might have just missed it.
It's a very inconspicuous cover, though. It's this black cover with and you see just the frog.
All right.
Yeah, it's easy to miss.
Interesting. Yeah, it's
a weird movie. It looks like a C movie. I said that in the beginning. Like the camera work, the sort of how the picture looks isn't really that great. But even that gets better throughout the movie. It's good, man. I like it a lot. It's the surprise of the year for me. And it's called I See You. I don't know if it's included in Prime now. I haven't looked at it since, but it's not expensive if it's not included.
Interesting. Yeah, might just give it a shot now that you've even put it on your end of the year list.
It's good.
Number 8 is high.
It's a weird year though. Got to take it with a grain of salt. This one. I mean,
yeah.
I was like, when I went through all the things I can choose from, I was like, man, there's like 2 or 3 great things, but the rest, I mean, I think it's been I didn't love this year. There were some things that I loved, but I mean, just as I said before, there wasn't a lot to choose from, which is kind of a shame. I always like to have such a huge catalog of things to choose from at the end of the year. Just like trying to get down to 20 or 10 is almost an impossible task. But this year was kind of easy. You know, I had like 12 things, and I was like, okay, I gotta cut these 2, I guess.
Dude, I guess it makes it a whole lot easier, because I remember us just trying to pick our top 20 films, and it just took always like an hour.
Yeah,
it felt like that. All right.
What's your 8?
Interesting. My number 8 is something that I talked about recently. Also, Apple Plus.
Yes, I was waiting for it. It's only on 8. Okay.
Yeah, Wolfwalkers. And the reason I picked it on my number 8, Wolfwalkers is a very good film, and I enjoyed it immensely. But it didn't stick with me as much.
It's been a week.
I know.
Right.
But that speaks for it even more. I mean, never really, sometimes always, when I saw it, I thought about it for the next 2-3 weeks on every second day pretty much. And Wolfwalkers, I've forgotten a lot about it already, to be honest, which is too bad.
Well, maybe it's going to come back eventually, in a couple of weeks, you know? Maybe it takes a bit of time.
Maybe, I don't know. I even considered putting it even lower, or lower, high, how you want to put it.
I would say lower.
Yeah. But yeah, it is still a good film. It is I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah.
Like I said.
I haven't seen it. We talked about it last week. It's one of those films that is very much a Gabe film. Well,
I guess, yeah.
Well, it's not for me. I'm not that big into animated movies, which is wrong, I know. And I love.
Well, it's all right. I mean, everybody got their genres and preferences.
It's not even that I'm not into animated movies. It's just that story didn't really appeal to me, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. And it looks beautiful. The Apple. Sorry.
Please go ahead.
I asked about the trailer last week when we couldn't include it.
Right.
And it said because I never contacted Apple before, right? Mm-hmm. And they have beautiful press sites and contacts, and better than a lot of other studios or companies. And I sent them an email and was like, yeah, hey, we would love to include this trailer in our episode. Would that be fine? And I got an instant automated response, which was, hey, we're out of office. We'll be back on January the 5th or whatever.
All right.
And which was after we released our episode. Mm-hmm. But there was if it's an urgent matter, contact this person. I was like, okay, I'll contact this person. And I still haven't heard back from the emergency contact. And now even still because they were like, if you send us a message, we'll get back to you once we're back in office. Mm-hmm. And it's been a week now or whatever. I don't know. And still haven't heard back. So Apple, I'm kind of disappointed, Wolfwalkers did not deserve to be on your list, Gabe. I would strike it from the record.
Well, Ted Lasso as well.
You're absolutely right. I mean, my number 9.
Well, it's a big studio.
Yeah, I know. No.
But yeah, Wolfwalkers, I talked about it before, but it's about a young girl living in like the 17th, 18th century in Ireland. And she's from England originally, and she came there with her father, who's a wolf hunter. And it's about a town threatened by wolves, but according to Irish folklore, I guess, where this takes place, there are wolfwalkers, people living with the wolves with magical powers. And then the little hunter girl meeting a wolfwalker girl and them becoming friends and them kind of changing each other's perspectives. And it's just a very sweet film. And like I talked about before, it's just such a unique animation style, which I think just should be checked out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about fairy tale friendships, would you say?
Yeah, I would. It does very much look like a fairy tale, like a little fairy tale book, which you open up.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my number 8. How about your number 7?
My 7 is Dark Waters.
Fuck. All right.
Oh, what's going on with the fuck every time?
Sorry.
You remember that movie?
I do. This was on my list of things that I was like, all right, should I rewatch this?
Right.
Yeah, not rewatch. Should I watch it for the first time because I didn't get
to?
You
didn't see it?
No, it was in the sneak preview at one point, but I fell out of for some fucking reason. I thought I should stop swearing. Jesus Christ.
No, it's good. It's good.
But I didn't get to watch it that time, which I was like, fuck, all right. Should I watch it now? Right back at it.
Yeah, right back at it. But I missed this. I thought you saw it too.
No, and I was like, all right, this is on Amazon Prime. Should I rent it and watch it? And I was like, I've got so many good films already on my list. I don't think it's going to crack my top 10. Okay. And I didn't think it would crack yours either. So I watched something else instead, which also didn't make my list.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, right. All right. Yeah, Dark Waters. Go ahead.
Yeah, this was also one of my picks in one of our earlier episodes.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I enjoyed this movie even more the second time because when I saw it the first time, I had very high expectations and those weren't really met. But the second time, I really enjoyed it more. And it's the story about Mark Ruffalo playing a lawyer, a corporate lawyer,
mm-hmm.
and who usually defends DuPont, I think, which is the company that sells Teflon pans. And it's based on a true story where that sort of gets into the absurdities of what Teflon does to us, to our, like when we cook something and it just has like, because obviously also like the waste from making that was like just thrown into lakes, and it's affected a lot of farms and water supplies, and it's just poisoned water, and a lot of cows died. And it's told like Bill Kemp plays one of the farm owners, and he contacts Mark Ruffalo's character and tells him about this. I mean, all of his cows are dying, and his families are developing sicknesses, and it's he wants to get to the bottom of why. And Mark Ruffalo then sort of turns, he's not like defending DuPont anymore, but he's investigating them now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's discovering what the hell Teflon actually does to us, which is insane. It's one of those stories where I mentioned this before, when you like, at the end, there's like a couple of credits with extra text.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that all of that is true, like all of those facts at the end are true and affect all of us, is just, to me, almost incomprehensible. It's remarkable. And things like you don't even think about. You cook in an egg and then you realize like years later what kind of consequences that had if you did it in a Teflon pan or whatever. And
it's
yeah,
very recent history, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, I don't remember now exactly. I think
90s, 80s.
Let's have a look. I don't remember. I think the movie covers like it spans quite a bit of time,
mm-hmm.
because the process took forever.
Yeah.
But let's have a quick look. Well, it also stars Anne Hathaway, by the way, which you like Anne Hathaway, don't you?
Yeah, sure. And I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of hers, but there are a couple of very cool performances by her, especially Brokeback Mountain.
Love and Other Drugs?
Yeah, as well. Always when she's on screen with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, it doesn't have
those 2 times.
It doesn't say here. Where is it? Come on. God. We'll cut this. 1998 was when, according to the New York Times Magazine article that the movie is based on, 1998 is when Wilbur Tennant, who is Bill Kemp in the movie, he was looking for legal help in 1998, and then it spans a lot of years. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of Mark Ruffalo's best performances. Really, really good. He's got like the physical features down, because I then watched some interviews with the real Rob Bilott. Don't know if that's his name. Is that his name? Rob Bilott? Yeah, I think something like that. And it's good. Tim Robbins in there too, and good cast, great music. It's directed by Todd Haynes, who did like Carol and I'm Not There, the Bob Dylan one. A good director, and yeah, he tells a very important story. Dark Waters. It's a good movie. It's a shocking movie,
and maybe not even the biggest role Bill Kemp has had this year, right?
What was the biggest role Bill Kemp had?
Queen's Gambit.
Sure. I mean, it's not really a big role, is it? Though?
Well, the most seen role, I guess.
I guess. But I like him. We talked about him quite a few times. I like Bill Kemp. He's one of those character actors who always delivers it. In this one, he's got like a thick accent too. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good, yeah. Yeah, that's my 7. I was surprised to see this high up as well. But as I said before, I think the second time I enjoyed it even more. There's that Hulk scene, if you remember. There's like with one scene in the driveway where there's green light on Mark Ruffalo's face, and he just looks exactly like the Hulk. I don't know if that was intentional, but Yeah.
Dude, yeah, this might have just sealed the deal that I might watch it today or tomorrow.
Yeah. The fact that I said 1998 sealed the deal, or
it did, yeah. It's a good year.
Yeah. Is that the year you were born?
No, it isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, that was 1988. I don't even know. Right, what's your 7?
All right,
yeah,
my 7, yeah. I don't know if this is higher, but it's Soul, the new Pixar film.
This did not make my list.
All right. And, all right, I think I might have said this when I talked about the Wolfwalkers, saying that I actually might have enjoyed it a bit more than Soul while I watched it.
I don't think you did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. In some ways it did. In some ways it didn't.
Right.
But the reason Soul is higher is, first of all, the animation style is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Pixar is just always on the pulse of the newest animation technology, and it just always shows, and it's such a joy to watch every time. Even their older ones, they hold up pretty good. Some more than others, I guess. But yeah, Soul just stuck with me once again a bit more than Wolfwalkers did. And it's just such a beautiful story. It's we talked about this very recently as well. Yeah, you can check out the episode, but essentially it's just about a jazz musician who finally gets his shot, but right when he finally has a chance to make his musical career come true, he dies and gets sent to the world before, where souls are kind of shaped, and he is put into a mentor role through a mistake, and then he kind of tries to mentor that soul in the way that he can kind of steal the spark that he gives that soul, so he can take that soul's place and go back to Earth and go back to living.
Well said.
And thank you. But I think if you haven't seen the film, this might have sounded a bit confusing, so do check it out. And it's got some great voice acting in there, a lot of great humor, a lot of great scenes, and I think even one or two that make an appearance in the trailer that we cut in.
Yeah.
And that episode, and you just check it out. You can just Google it on YouTube, a Soul trailer. It's on
listen
Disney
to it in
Plus.
our podcast.
Do it in our podcast, yeah, please. We could use every click.
We could, yeah.
But it's on Disney Plus, and like we mentioned before, if this had not released on Disney Plus, we might have gotten it later, especially since it released quite at the end of 2020.
Well, it was supposed to come out earlier, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I think so.
Like everything should have been.
Yeah.
But it is a good film, and it's got this Pixar quality of just humor, and you got some emotional scenes coming up at the end, and they deliver.
Yeah, and just some great ideas. I mean,
yeah,
the stories are always incredible. I mentioned this before. It's just incredible to me what they come up with.
Right.
I rewatched a certain scene of like, sorry, what were you going to say?
No. Please go ahead. I wanted to say something very different.
where I think something like falls onto the souls and crushes them. And
All right.
what's his name? The main character?
Jesus Christ.
John? Jack?
James?
It's a short name with J, right?
Yeah.
Joe.
All right.
Joe Gardner,
Close
right?
enough,
Something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, and he asks 22 like, he's like concerned about all the souls, and 22 goes like, no, don't worry, souls can't be crushed here. That's what Earth is for. Great little throwaway line.
That's a good line, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering if maybe another Pixar film is gonna make an appearance.
Yeah. Is it not going to be on your list? Well,
Like I mentioned, I did prefer Soul.
right? We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, yeah, that's my number 7 pick.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Really good movie.
If you want to hear more about it, we got a very recent episode about it, and yeah, do just check it out. It's on Disney Plus, and there are other things on there that you should just very much check out.
Yeah, great music too. I mean,
yeah,
beautiful.
All right, what's your number 6 then?
All right, this is going to be interesting because eagle-eyed. No, what's the thing for ears that's not eagle-eyed? You know what I mean? Attentive listeners. Attentive listeners might have figured this out because was this last week? I think it was last week. You mentioned that you saw Ted Lasso, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting because I recently, for whatever reason, re-listened the episode where we talk about Ted Lasso for the first time. Well, that was not by accident because I rewatched, I listened to that episode for a different reason.
All right.
Right? Because it's a great twist, right?
Yeah.
Because we talked about a movie on that episode that I hadn't seen back then. And it now made my number 6 spot because I absolutely loved it, which is Richard Jewell.
All right. Did not make my list.
Did not make your list. Oh, I thought this was making your list for sure.
It's a tough choice, but you know, if Knives Out is my number 10, there's not a lot of space for other movies.
Sure. I loved Richard Jewell, and I listened back to the episode to hear what you said about it, to sort of now understand what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Or like have more references and stuff. And I mean, yeah, it's the story about Richard Jewell, played by Paul Walter Hauser, phenomenally. The fact that he was nominated is kind of outrageous to me.
Yeah.
I think it was really. I think
incredible.
Kathy Bates was nominated as her mother, as his mother. Sorry,
yeah,
absolutely well deserved. And it's a story about this security guard who always wanted to be a police officer, and he's. I mean, it's just an incredible true story of him, like back in the Olympics in when was it, 1998?
Yeah, something like that.
When it was in the States, the Olympics, and he discovered a backpack which was hidden under a bench. It was not. Yeah, it was placed before the bench. In front of the bench, but then it sort of slid under the 1996. It slid under the bench, and he was like, he's this very like, he wants to follow protocol. Every other police officer there would have ignored that backpack, and he was like, no, we got to check this out. And everyone was like, oh, no, Richard, we don't need to do that. But then when they do, it turns out there's a bomb in there, and they sort of try to evacuate the area, and the bomb goes off, and it still hurts a lot of people, and but way less than if no one had said anything. But then, after the fact, people are suspicious of Richard Jewell, that he found the bomb, and are making him the prime suspect of him actually placing the bomb there for him to like be the savior. Which is the fact that that's a true story too. I mean, just think of this: you're the hero, and from one day to the other, you're the suspect for no reason. And then it's sort of about Sam Rockwell. I mean, I love him playing his lawyer and trying to prove his innocence. While Olivia Wilde, I thought she was great in this too. She's sort of the journalist who writes the story about him. And John Hamm being the FBI director, not the director, but
agent
who is trying to prosecute him too. A real sleazebag. And for me, dude, I mean, there's this one scene where Kathy Bates' character, she plays the mother of Richard Jewell, she holds like a press conference because she's so desperate by then, and she wants to prove the innocence of her son. And Olivia Wilde's reaction to that, I thought was tremendous. because she. Do you remember that scene?
I do remember the scene, but I do not remember her reaction.
Well, she sort of. I don't want to. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but very well acted. But then I gotta say, at the very end, when Richard Jewell and I forgot the lawyer's name, but when they're in the diner and John Hamm is coming in and handing them a letter, I was close to tearing up. I really was because of Paul Walter Hauser's performance when he breaks down in front of Sam Rockwell. I thought that was incredibly well acted. And that sort of solidified this film as great to me. And that's why I made my number 6. It's an incredible story that's unthinkable to just as I said before, just imagine that. You find something and you try to do the right thing and then you're the suspect all of a sudden. And the FBI is sort of raiding his house and sort of taking everything, or his mother's house, because I don't know if he moved back in with his mother or if he always lived there. Doesn't matter. But they sort of come in and...
I think he moved back in because he did live in another city at some point, right? At the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. But yeah, it's sort of the havoc that the FBI is sort of... what's the havoc? To
wreak havoc?
Wreak havoc, right.
It kind of pulls back the curtain on law enforcement because you kind of think, all right, it's the FBI, they're like the most prepared out there, they gotta do their job always right, and if they say something or somebody's guilty, you kind of believe them, right?
Right, and even Richard Jewell is like, he's like, I gotta comply with the FBI, they're the good guys, when in fact, they're really not. I mean, they're trying to get him to make a false confession and everything. I mean, I think he plays it so well, this sort of very naive guy, which he does great all the time. He did it in I, Tonya, and
I think he's just a great actor, and I would love to see him more.
Really good, yeah.
Also in Black Klansman and others, I hope we get to see him in even more things.
Yeah, he's a very cool and likable dude. I watched some interviews with him too, and he deserves all the success.
That's
and
cool.
I was excited to see him in a Clint Eastwood film as the lead in the Clint Eastwood film, which is awesome. And hopefully more. And a Clint Eastwood film that I really enjoyed as well. Because the last one was The Mule, which I didn't love. And Richard Jewell is right back up there for me.
Yeah, dude, it's a cool film.
What's your 6?
My 6 is, once again, I think something that you've seen last year technically. And it's Jojo Rabbit.
Yes. Didn't you see that at the film festival too?
No, I didn't. It was my very first pick for this podcast. I saw this in February when
Imaginary Idiots. Yeah. Yeah, it's not on my list now.
Yeah. Well,
wow, that's high. I mean,
it is high once again because it stayed with me and because it's such a fun movie that I would just love to rewatch, to be honest. It just seems like one of those films that is just an instant classic in the sense of you can just pick it up and just watch it pretty much anytime.
Yeah.
And I do plan on doing that at some point again, just rewatching it. And it is also the very first thing that I talked about on this podcast. I would say do check out the episode, but I do think we've made a jump in quality.
Yeah.
Since then.
See, that just made me realize that Sex Education Season 2 would be a valid pick, right?
It would be.
Because is that going to be, you're not going to say, but I forgot to mention, I still don't know why that wasn't my first ever pick.
Yeah.
But I completely forgot that was this year. That could have made my list. I completely forgot about it.
Could have, yeah. You can just retroactively say it's on your 10.
Yeah, I'll think about it. I'm sorry. Keep
but if you push off 1917 off this list, I'm going to be pissed.
It almost didn't make my list before. It was off the list before. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, well, Jojo Rabbit, it's the newest Taika Waititi film. And once again, I think it came out in December, pretty much all around the world, November in 2019. And it came out in February in Austria.
Right.
And I got to see this film. I was invited by a friend and his mom who went to see this film. Shout out to them. But it is a great film, and I heard a lot of good things about this film, and it is it's a weird kind of concept because it's based on a book and it's about a little kid growing up in Nazi Germany in the 40s, and he's just a super duper Nazi. just because he buys into that ideology, because of course you would in that time, especially when you're that young and you're part of the Hayat, the Hitler Youth. And his imaginary friend is none other than Adolf Hitler himself. Which, what a pick for an imaginary friend, right?
Yeah.
And it is a extraordinary film just in the sense of what it kind of entails and what it's about, and still managing to be this funny and poking fun at the absurdity of Nazi ideology.
Yeah.
And the indoctrination of the youth. And it kind of tests the protagonist in his beliefs when he finds out that his mom is hiding a Jewish girl in their house. So apparently everything that his mom has told him, because she also seemed to be in support of the Nazis, has been a lie.
Right.
And she's only seemed to have been playing along, and then he's kind of confronted with these two worlds, what he thought he was right and what is now should be right, but he's kind of conflicted in himself. And of course, Adolf Hitler himself being played by director Taika Waititi. And it's got some incredible performances by Scarlett Johansson. And especially towards the end, you're gonna get a very stark contrast in the film, which I do love in those kind of comedies. It's very funny, then it gets very dark, which is fitting for the subject.
Yeah.
And you got a great scene with Stephen Merchant in there.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Yeah, I do love him as well. Him playing a Gestapo officer, and just coming in, and like 10 officers coming in, everybody greeting the young boy in the traditional Nazi greeting, saying Heil Hitler. And then somebody else comes along and says, hey, what have you been doing? So, well, we were just coming in, Heil Hitler and the boy, and then Heil Hitler and you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny, and it's dramatic, and it's got some great performances, and I do think it's worth watching, especially also the friendship Jojo has with his friend, who's just a knockout in his comedic role.
Oh, you mean the little friend?
Yeah.
Archie.
Was it
Archie?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah, he's amazing. And yeah, what else can I say about this? Do check it out, please.
I was surprised like how great the filmmaking was, because the shot of the feet, which come back into play later, I thought it was tremendous.
It was great, yeah. You also got these great running scenes right at the beginning through the Yorkie.
The actor's name is Archie.
All right.
Sorry.
But you got Jojo running through the woods, and then later through the city, and you got some great shots in there.
For sure. And you got Sam Rockwell in there as well.
Yeah, right.
Sam Rockwell and...
He's great. And who
Rebel
plays
Wilson.
his friend, the assistant to Sam Rockwell, is played by the
Alfie
Game
Allen.
of Thrones actor, Alfie... What is his name?
I think it's Alfie Allen.
Alfie Allen, right.
Yeah.
And talking about the cinematography, it's by the same cinematographer as The Master, I think, which is also great cinematography.
Who's the
name I've sadly forgotten? He's got a thing.
You're right, Mihai Malaimare Jr. no chance.
Was he from Bosnia or?
Romania.
Romania, sorry.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Which very much stood out to me when I watched The Master, which I watched quite late also this year. And the cinematography stood out to me that much that I had to look him up and saw, that is the same guy as Jojo Rabbit. And he's great. And I don't know how he has not been nominated for any bigger awards yet. Yeah. But yeah.
It's a good movie. I liked especially the interactions between the Jewish girl played by Thomasin McKenzie and Jojo.
Yeah.
When he's going through like all the prejudices he has.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just flat out asking her if that's all true. And she's like, what are you talking about? No.
I think at some point she's even messing with him. So yeah, of course.
That's right.
Of course that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my number 6. All right. Coming down to the top 5.
Yeah.
What's your number 5?
My 5 is the only one on this list, which unfortunately isn't out yet. And I apologize to our listeners, but had to be on my list. It's Druk. Well,
all right.
Another
it's
round.
my number 5 as well.
All right. Beautiful. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Fuck, I should have bought some beer.
Yeah. I mentioned that I didn't completely love the movie, but it's still... Or never mind. I don't think it's like a 10 out of 10 movie, but I loved it still, and especially because of the main performance by Mads Mikkelsen, who I hope we can do a special on someday, because he's one of the best actors around, in my opinion, and Druk solidified that to me again, because his performance, dude, is just heartbreakingly great.
Yeah.
Especially when he's at the dinner table in the beginning and he's having a sip of wine for the first time in a long time.
Those scenes are the most real scenes that I've ever seen in movies. That, and also, of course, his performance in Jagden, The Hunt.
Yeah.
Those seem so freaking real, like more like a documentary than a movie.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's unreal.
Mm-hmm.
And Druk, I mean, it's this great story about 4 teacher friends who decide to test the theory that life is better when you have a constant level of blood alcohol. It's just, when I heard the premise, I was like, oh yes. And Mads Mikkelsen and Thomas Vinterberg directing, come on. And then it obviously leads to them trying an even higher percentage every time, having an even higher level of blood alcohol. And as you can probably expect, things sort of go from good to bad to worse, I guess, and then back to good, back to worse. And it surprised me where it went eventually. Like, because I talked about this on the episode where we talked about it. I thought I had a pretty good like understanding of how this film would play out when it actually took me by surprise. And yeah, I mean, I didn't like love the ending, not like the last scene, but just sort of the way they wrapped up the storyline. But just for Mads Mikkelsen's performance and the premise, it had to be high up on my list. I love the movie, and I really want to rewatch that one.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you just said. It's just a great film and a great premise and well executed. And I recently watched a video on YouTube about him rehearsing the last scene.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do agree with what you just said. It's just such a unique film, and I'm so glad that I got to see it.
Yeah, it's coming out, according to IMDb, in Germany on in the end of January. So that's obviously relative.
Cinemas.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what's happening?
Yeah.
But hopefully it'll be available to like either in cinemas or maybe to stream soon in Austria as well.
Yeah.
It's called Another Round. I think I mentioned this in English, and Druk is the original title. And it also stars Thomas Bo Larsen and Mads Mikkelsen, Thomas Bo Larsen, and Thomas Vinterberg, the director, are all like they
alumni.
made Hunt. Yeah, The Hunt.
I don't know. The Hunt, yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's
great people.
It's got some very strong performances also from the other teachers who he's doing these experiments with.
Yeah.
And it seems like such a ridiculous topic. And I think if it would have been like an American movie, it would have ended more like The Hangover than like this. And this is why this is a great film, just because it does take some very serious turns, and it does kind of address the problems of alcoholism in a very real seeming way.
Yeah. And it does lead to some funny scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, I love were they trying to get a fish? I forgot now why. It's just because he was supposed to buy it and the stores are closed or something, right?
Yes, his wife is like, she wants this kind of special kind of fish, but they don't have it in stock or something.
Right. Oh, but yeah, but he gets thrown out, doesn't he? Because he's like completely shit-faced.
They knock everything over.
And then there's like a great cut to a scene, which I'm not going to give away now, but that was really funny.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Great movie. I mean...
do check it out.
Please. What's your 5?
Means,
that was...
also another round, also Druk, which means it's your number 4.
Well, my 4 is the movie that you teased before, which is Onward.
Right, number 4. That's
right.
Jesus.
Right. This one got me. This one got me, and I looked like I gave this a 9. I mean, it had to be high up on my list.
Dude, yeah.
It's the second to last Pixar film, obviously, or second to most recent. I don't know if that's right, but you know what I mean. It's the one before Soul, and stars Tom Holland and Chris Pratt as brothers who discover that their father left them a magical staff, which allows them to bring him back for a day. Was it a day? I think maybe like a couple of days.
Until sundown, right?
Yeah. And
or sunrise.
Yeah. And things go wrong, and they only manage to bring back his lower half.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like, another great idea. I mean, just to have him like running around with him without actually having like a full body. But obviously then they want to try and get their full dad back and go on a mystical journey and discover things about themselves and their relationship between the two of them. And obviously they're trying to, because their father died when the main character was very, very young. And Chris Pratt's character, the older brother, was sort of the only one who really got to know him. And it's sort of them, meeting back up with their dad for the last time to get some closure. And you got Octavia Spencer as the what was her name? The old
Manticore.
Manticore, right? The mythical creature who's now like the head of some sort of
family restaurant.
Yeah. And just one scene that stands out to me is the one where he like crosses the canyon.
I was thinking about the exact same scene, yeah.
Which is just terrific. I mean, edge of your seat stuff, even though you kind of know where it's going. And I think Chris Pratt is perfectly cast. Tom Holland is sort of like, I never really loved Tom Holland. It's just like he's always good, but it's Chris Pratt sort of stands out to me. I think he's very perfectly cast for the role he's playing there.
I read a very funny review yesterday about Soul, actually.
Okay.
Which kind of breaks down all the Pixar films, and it's just a list of Toy Story, toys have feelings, and then Inside Out, feelings have feelings, and then Onward, Chris Pratt has feelings.
Yeah, it's a good description. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus voices the mother. I don't know if... I thought she was good too.
Yeah, she's good.
She's obviously then discovering the fact that her sons are on a mystical quest, and then she's trying to help them, and the scene of like I just love in all movies basically where people are trying to figure out their skills, and when they first try out the magic, it obviously goes wrong when he's trying to make a gas canister like bigger. That doesn't quite go to plan, and once again, Pixar comes up with great stories, and this one connected with me more than Soul because I loved the way they ended this movie.
It's
compared to Soul.
Got a great climax.
It really does.
Yeah.
I don't know. You liked it too, right? I mean, it's
I did like it a lot, but there are just a couple of scenes or moments that are just missing from my memory just after they cross the canyon, and pretty much from then on till the ending I remember a few scenes, but I've forgotten a lot about it and just didn't stick with me as much. And
that's fair.
I guess Soul just stuck with me.
It's
and
a bit more recent, right?
It's a bit more recent than just, I don't know, some of the jokes just hit harder with me. I just had to laugh more.
Okay.
But yeah, it's still a good film, no questions asked. It was also my pick that week when we talked about it. And
that was a great moment. Yeah. Because we both didn't know that the other person saw it.
Yeah.
But do you remember that scene of like when his dad's feet are always like standing on top of his foot? And that was sort of symbolizing the fact that because obviously the dad can't see, but he's sort of feeling for his son. I thought it was very beautiful.
It is, yeah. It is a sweet story.
But I agree with you. I can't quite remember everything about the movie too. It's been a while. But certain scenes stick out to me. And I mean, I gave it a 9. It's got to be high up there, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's my 4.
All right. Well, my 4 is something, once again, it came out in December in most countries. We got it in January. But, December 2019 is pretty much 2020, right? And it's Little Women, one of the biggest releases of last year and also, I guess, this year.
Sure.
Yeah, I know it's not going to be on your
Never.
list. Yeah. But I enjoyed this movie immensely. It's, of course, the new Greta Gerwig film with Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Saoirse Ronan, and the fourth one. What's the last actress's name?
Oh, you stumped me there.
Yeah, right.
You said,
She's been in
sorry,
a lot.
who
She's
did you
in
say
Sharp-
now?
she's
Sharp,
in-
right, Sharp Objects.
Yeah, Sharp Objects.
She plays, oh gosh. What was her name in the movie? It's
I
the,
do not remember.
it's
No
this-
idea.
Amy. It's Amy.
All right.
What is her name? We talked
We
about
talked
her
about
quite a bit. Yeah.
she's
I would like to come up with this without looking this up, but I don't think I'll get it within the next hour.
all right. Well, anyway, Little Women is of course based on a very well-known book, which I of course haven't read, but it's just a great story. It's kind of a period piece, which I am not a huge fan of that kind of period in history because it's always that kind of American history doesn't like speak to me that much, I guess. But it's so well done, and you got these great dialogue scenes, and Saoirse Ronan and Timothy Chalamet just hit it off so much, like that dancing scene, and just him trying to convince her that he's right for her and they should be married, and she just keeps refusing and tries to lead her own life.
Oh God.
It's such a powerful story. Yeah,
I was completely wrong. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
What's her name?
Well, Amy is Florence Pugh.
All right.
And Eliza Scanlon, that's the one we're thinking of, right?
Right.
Is Beth.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mixed that up. And Emma Watson, right? You said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's, I think she plays the older sister.
Could be.
Yeah.
Meg.
And yeah. And of course their mother is played by, how could I forget her name? She
Laura
won her
Dern.
Oscar. Laura Dern. For another film. She won an Oscar for another film. But yeah, she's also great. And it's got a very strong message also about feminism, which is very cool, especially from when the book was published back in the day.
Yeah.
Kind of breaking with traditional gender roles. And it's just such a blast. It's just such a feel-good movie at times, just a family just celebrating, very wholesome, and you got some great jokes in there. And of course also some more dramatic scenes, but it just stood out as a film that I would just love to rewatch, and I just had such a great time with it.
Do you like this more than Lady Bird?
I think so, yeah.
That's
I do would
incomprehensible.
I would have to rewatch Lady Bird because it's now been, I don't know, 3 years.
Oh, it's not been that long. Has it
Right,
been that
2017, 2018? Was it 2018?
long? I think 2018, yeah.
All right, still. I don't know. Yeah, I did enjoy it just immensely. And
It came out in
Greta Gerwig-
2018 over here, sorry.
Right, yeah. But yeah, Greta Gerwig, great director. And yeah, I think it's one of the biggest movies that came out this year, last year. I think a lot of people have heard of it. So yeah, do check it out.
It was right before everything shut down, wasn't it?
Could be, yeah. I think we
So-
saw it in a sneak, right?
Yeah. But I mean, like maybe a lot of people still had the chance to see this one.
Yeah.
One of the last ones that sort of was released normally.
Yeah.
I did not like this movie a lot.
Didn't you not like it, or did you just not like it as much?
I didn't like it as much.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know where to begin. It just didn't. First of all, I thought it was too long. It's like 2 hours 15, and I was just bored by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just I mean the ending of like the train station with this was it French guy that they're chasing down. I was like, my gosh, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Well,
connect
it's
with-
kind of ambiguous if what
sure.
happened.
That's right. That's true.
happened.
Yeah, I don't know. This one didn't do it for me. I don't know why.
Right, well-
I agree with you. I'm not a fan of these period pieces usually, and yeah, that maybe that was why. I enjoyed Lady Bird a lot more. I think Lady Bird is way better. But yeah.
It is also a great film. I
Yeah.
do love them both. Yeah.
See, you have 3 things left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have 3 things left, but I know that 1917 is on your list because you said it's higher. So that means one of the 3 things I have on my list is not on your list, which is outrageous. We'll get to it.
Either I forgot something, but I know there's something on my list which I know is also on your list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my
What's your-
3
Yeah.
is Unbelievable.
That's the 2019 release, right? I
No.
looked this up, and all I saw was 2019.
Is it really?
I want to put this on my list as well, but it came out on Netflix in 2019.
You're absolutely right. I just saw it in 2020. That's why I wrote it down in 2020.
Yeah,
You're absolutely
September
right.
2019.
Well, we have a problem. I have to. You're absolutely right.
It would have been very high on my list as well, but
God damn it.
well, sex education in the season 2. Number 3.
I just now have a different number 10. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm going to push everything. So my Onward is
Right.
my 3 now. So my number 10 is Bombshell.
All right.
I'm happy
Want
to
to talk about Bombshell?
I want to talk about Bombshell.
All right.
This was a tough cut.
It's going to be some confusing time codes.
It is. Absolutely. I'll make it quick though. Because Bombshell, I wanted to put it on the list, but then again, I mentioned this as well, but Margot Robbie in this movie, I think this is one of her best performances, and I stand by this. When she calls Kate McKinnon's character, I mean, it's obviously the story about Fox News and the scandal with Roger Ailes and the sexual harassment that happens at Fox News with Charlize Theron playing Megyn Kelly quite extraordinarily. I mean, with her makeup and her voice, it's quite remarkable. And Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie. And when all this shit goes down at Fox News and Roger Ailes is this despicable human being, sleazebag, whatever, and there's this one scene where Margot Robbie calls Kate McKinnon and confesses something to her while breaking down. I rewatched that scene like yesterday because I remember how much that floored me, and it still did. I think that scene is Margot Robbie's best acting. I really do.
It is an amazing scene, yeah.
So believable. Like unbelievable was now struck from my list. That scene was so believable. And yeah, I'm a bit, like my mind's all over the place because Unbreakable is not going to make my list. It makes sense because we have that 6-month rule, right? And we talked about it within the 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's not a 2019.
Things, yeah.
It's not a 2020 thing. Yeah. God damn it. Well, now it makes sense that you don't have this on your list.
I want to put it on there, but yeah.
Bombshell, I think this was also one of the last movies that we got to see in regular theaters, also in the sneak.
Yeah.
Right before the Academy Awards, I remember. Which was good because who was nominated for that? Maybe just makeup. I think it was just
Wasn't
maybe
Margot
Charlize?
Robbie maybe? No.
Could be. You might be right, you know?
Or Nicole Kidman maybe also.
I don't think Nicole Kidman was nominated for this.
She did have a short role, yeah. But yeah, I do think it was either Margot Robbie or maybe Charlize Theron. I'm just naming names at this point.
Yeah. No, it was. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie was nominated. Charlize Theron was nominated.
All right.
And it won for best makeup.
All right. Well, I feel very confirmed in my knowledge.
Yeah. That's it. I don't want to spend more time talking about my number 10. I think it's another one of those movies that tells a story. I knew where the story was going because I followed the story when it happened in whenever it was 2015 maybe 20 something like that. So I kind of knew where it was going, but I really wanted to mention this because Margot Robbie's performance stood out to me, as well as obviously Charlize Theron. And it's a quirky movie that deals with a tough subject. We called it Tough Truths. I remember it was Tough Truths.
One of the
and Stressed Sandlers. Is that gonna make your list? See, my mind is all over the place. All right, what's your 3?
Well, you could have called it out earlier. It's The World to Come. I know Flo's gonna break down.
Well, now I'm breaking
through.
down again because now with 1917 still, you're still having one other thing that's not going to be on your list, right? We're back to where we were before. Go on, sorry. The World to Come is your number 3. My God.
Yeah, and I do think there maybe, I don't know, I enjoyed this immensely just the moment that I saw it. I think there are things on this list that I've rated higher technically.
Sure.
But The World to Come is also, I give it a like on Letterboxd, which I used to give a lot of movies, but I now just give this to kind of movies that stood out to me immensely.
Right.
And this did for me, and I did have to think it so much. And there are just so many scenes, especially just remained in my mind, and it just had such a special place in my heart. And if you don't know what the film's about, it's about a husband and wife living out on the frontier on the East Coast in America in the, 19th century, I think. Early 19th century. And it's about them and their survival. It starts off with them losing their child to sickness and then just living out in the middle of pretty much nowhere. pretty much cut off from the rest of the world with winters that are so harsh. And they're farmers. I mean, they do have contact with other people, especially when a other couple moves in quite close to them, and a friendship kind of evolving between the two wives and getting to know each other and bonding, and also bonding over them kind of being trapped with their husbands in a way. Although the protagonist's husband, played by Casey Affleck, is a nice character.
Yeah.
But it's just them being so isolated and sad with their lot in life, and it's got this great presentation through like handwritten notes, because it's kind of presented through the diary of the main character. And yeah, it's just a beautiful film to watch, and it was just such a surprise for me, because I saw it at the film festival this year, and it's one of the films that we did not see together, and I just looked through the catalog, and this just seemed interesting to me for some reason. And it didn't have great ratings. I don't think it still hasn't, and it had so few ratings, like
I don't think it's
maybe
out
100
yet.
or something.
I don't think it's still even to this day.
Could be. And I don't know when or if it's even gonna get a cinema release. I doubt it.
No, but I mean, like, also in the US.
Yeah, all right.
I don't think so. Have you mentioned who stars in it other than Casey Affleck?
You got Vanessa Kirby as the woman who moves in as the neighbor.
Right.
And as the leading actress, you got, I forgot her name,
Catherine Waterston.
Catherine Waterston, goddammit. Yeah. Who you might know from Alien.
Right. Covenant,
that's the name.
Yeah. And Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts, of course. And I think this was her standard role for me, because she was alright in Alien Covenant, but Alien Covenant wasn't like the highest level of acting from anybody.
Well, the alien was pretty good.
But sorry, also same with Fantastic Beasts, which I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah.
But this just showed to me that she is a good actress, and I would now love to see more of her. And Vanessa Kirby as well. I never really had her on my radar.
Well, you have another movie coming out now.
I know. I want.
I think it's out yesterday.
It came out yesterday. I was wondering if I should watch it, but I thought, all right, I'm not gonna talk about it today anyway. So let's watch something else instead.
Yeah.
Also something that didn't make my list.
We'll get to it. I haven't seen The World to Come. We talked about this. I'm really surprised that it was your pick that week, and also surprised that it's this high up on your list. But I guess I have to give it a go if it eventually comes out. I just looked up; it comes out in the States in February. So
all right. Well, this is completely subjective, and I'm not saying this is the best movie on the list. It isn't. It's I think Little Women, just from production value, etc., it's better. But The World to Come is just more dear to me. So maybe you'll have the same feeling when you see it. So who knows?
Yeah. All right. I mean, I have two things here that you loved, and one of them is not 1917.
I think my number 2 is going to be your number 1, but let's go for it.
My number 2 is Hamilton.
All right. Well, that's my number 2 as well. Then what is your number 1?
You definitely forgot something. I mean, we'll get to it.
All right.
I mean, I would be shocked if you. Okay, we'll get to it.
The platform, number 1.
Good honorable.
Yeah.
That's your number 2 as well. Did you say Hamilton?
That is my number 2 as well.
I thought about not including this.
What? I thought it was going to be your number 1. It came from not including it to...
No, just because it's not. Like, it's a 2016 Broadway musical that is recorded in 2016 that is now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to ask you, like, are you going to include it? Because I wasn't sure as well, just because of that reason. But I was like, all right, it is something that came out this year, and you could not have seen it any other way. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And it is, without question, one of the best things I've seen this year.
Yeah.
I had listened to the soundtrack so many times before that I could sing along with it, and to finally be able to put the right pictures to the song, like to get to see what was only in my head till then, to get to actually see what's happening and to get to see the whole thing as it was intended to be seen, was just a great experience. And I keep coming back to it, watching certain clips of it. The soundtrack is still on my playlist, and it's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen, with just the way a story is told in, I don't know, 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40, with incredible songs that are all like earworms, and you learn something about American history, and yeah, you get to sing along with it. It's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I never would have figured this would be this high on my list.
Yeah, I'm
I was
surprised.
like,
Yeah.
all right, Hamilton, I've heard so much about it, and it did seem like something interesting, but I was never huge into musicals. I do like the concept of it, and I do like Disney films, which do feature a lot of music. But having seen it, it just blew my mind. It was completely different than I had imagined it, and so smart and so well written, and just the story is such a unique way of telling it, and with those different kinds of genres mixing and matching. And yeah, I've listened to the soundtrack I don't know how many times now. I do have also I download the playlist on Spotify, and a lot of times when I don't know what to listen to, especially when I like cook or do whatever, I do listen to the soundtrack. And
What's your go-to song these days?
what's my favorite now is Satisfied, without a doubt.
I remember you.
love it.
I'm just picturing you like dancing to "Satisfied" in your kitchen.
Dude, I'm more like crying, dude. What a song.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's Lin-Manuel Miranda. I tip my hat off to you, sir. It's unbelievable what you came up with.
Yeah, it's just such a cultural phenomenon, and
Yeah, and I watched the documentaries, and I even bought the book, which
Yeah.
just gives more insight into his lyrical, like how he came up with it, and it
Mhm.
also like has these little anecdotes of him like being especially proud of that certain part of the song and whatever, and it just points out his genius to me. It's just incredible, like the musical things as well. When he's like, for example, in "Wait for It," at
Mhm.
the very end, he's like actually like waiting for it to sing "Wait for It," which is
Mhm.
like an inside joke that is mentioned in I think it was in Song Exploder when I mentioned that as well in an
Yeah.
episode, and he talked about this just like him, like a little inside thing of like making him chuckle or whatever, that he's actually waiting for it at the very end of the song, and he's like not singing it at the same spot as he usually does. He's just
Mhm.
waiting for it that little bit longer. It's just great, man. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. One more reason to check out Disney Plus. I mean,
Yeah.
just for that alone, to see this and just know what all the fuss is about.
Yeah. If you haven't listened to this, I think you should.
Yeah.
I really think you should. It's
And I
incredible.
do you think if you maybe have seen the musical, also check out our episode where we actually talked about it in much more detail.
Yeah.
You might enjoy that as well.
I mean, you'll just hear me in shock that this made your pick.
Dude, and here it is in my number 2 spot. And
Yeah.
this was an easy pick for me to be
Yeah.
this high.
I knew it. The only reason it's not my number 1 is because I did want to put an actual like fictional, well, not that it's not fiction, you know what I mean? Like an actual like movie or TV show as my number
Yeah.
1, not like a musical that was recorded in 2016, if that
And I'm
makes
so
sense.
glad that your pick is going to be before mine, because I have no idea, because you said I might have forgotten something.
I think so.
I'm looking through my honorable mentions, and there's nothing that I would have picked as my number 1, or
Well,
nothing
maybe
that
it's
I
just
would
maybe
think
it's just
you would
not on
pick.
your list. Maybe I'm wrong.
You sure I've seen it?
Yes.
Interesting. So interesting. Yeah. You
Let's
want to
get
go
to
ahead?
it. I'm excited because we had the 5 spot, the same one. We both had another round. Druk at 5. We
Well,
both
now
had
it's only
Hamilton
number
at
4.
2. Ah, you had. Goddamn, you had to take it away from me.
But yeah.
You're right. Well, the best thing I've seen in 2020 is without question Normal People. Yeah, no, maybe.
God, I did forget about it completely. Shit, this would have made my list.
All right. So
Well-
is Druk now number 4?
Maybe. No, it's maybe it would have knocked out Knives Out. I don't know where
It would have only
put
been
it in.
10.
No, it's just I don't know where it would have been, but either way, it would have knocked out Knives Out, and
Oh, that's right.
yeah, maybe like my number 7, 6. Yeah, it's hard. Maybe even 5. It was amazing. It was amazing, dude. Dude, yeah. Yeah, it's always the fucking problem. Every year we do these lists, and I always forget about something.
Yeah.
But at least we both did. So
Well, I didn't forget about it.
Yeah, well,
I
we both
I
made
made a
mistakes.
different mistake. Yeah.
dude, fair pick. Crazy.
This completely floored me. And it is the most real romantic story I have watched in years.
Yeah.
And I know that you watched it because I think the week after I mentioned it, you mentioned that you saw it. And or maybe the first couple of episodes. It's a story about, I think it's in Ireland with Connell and what's her name?
Shit.
Something with M.
Emily?
No. What? Oh my gosh. Connell and...
I'm going to look this up. You keep talking.
I need to know this now. Marianne.
Marianne. Goddamn, yeah.
Connell and Marianne. It's a story about them meeting, or not meeting, but falling in love during high school. I think it's high school, right? It's called something else in Ireland, but I think. And then sort of telling their love story over the next couple of years, spanning through college and them going on trips together and them breaking up and them coming back together. And it's directed by Lenny Abramson, who did Room. He did 6 episodes of this, and the other 6 are done by Hattie McDonald, I think. I love Lenny Abramson. When he did Room, that sort of made me aware of him, and I was then seeking his other movies. And I remember stumbling upon Normal People when Kate Mara, I think on Instagram or whatever, posted about Normal People. That's how I figured it out. Like, that's how I stumbled upon this.
You follow her?
I do. I like Kate Mara.
Yeah, sure. But you're more of a Rooney Mara
I am,
fan?
but she's not on Instagram.
All right.
It's the closest thing I got. But then I looked it up and it was like, oh my gosh, this is done by Lenny Abramson. And the trailer looked beautiful. And then I watched it, and it's just honestly amazing. It's so good. So many real moments. And when I think of Normal People now, I think of fantastic acting, especially the scene where Connell, played by, I messed up his name the last time, Paul Mescal. It's Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar-Jones, who should be the biggest stars right now, and I hope they will become that. And they certainly got their fame with this show. But when he's at the psychiatrist and he's talking to her after a very sad event in his life, that's like, excluding Hamilton, that's the best scene of the year, without question to me. It's unbelievable. It's like the Richard Jewell at the end, like breaking down. Whenever people are breaking down believably, it gets me. And I mentioned that before, but in the comment section, it's like, is that an actor or is that real life? Like when people saw this clip that they released, and that's a valid question, because it is incredibly well acted. And I can only recommend Normal People to everyone. I think it's still only available to this stupid stars thing, right?
Yeah, you can like do a subscription or test subscription for 14 days for free, and after that it's like $5 a month.
Right, it's on Amazon, the Stars Play or whatever.
They have nothing else on there really that's interesting, which is too bad. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you it's still, I'm looking at, it's still not there. But but what did you think of it?
Dude, I absolutely loved it. You, like you said, you recommended it on one of our episodes about half a year ago now, I think. 4 months ago, something like that. And after you told me about it, you sold it to me completely, and I watched it, and you're absolutely right. It was just a bombshell of a show.
That's my number 10.
And yeah, that scene at the psychiatrist's office is just incredible, and also a couple of other scenes of them just towards the end, just fighting and discussing things, and just some of the more intimate scenes. They got some sexual scenes in there, but the great thing about it is it's not just sex for the sake of sex. It's not like Game of Thrones, it's just bang for some interesting content. No, it's so important and how they kind of change having sex with each other. And what that means to them is such a powerful kind of thing, especially towards the end, if you know what I mean. Where she has some preferences.
Oh, yes. Incredible scene.
That is one of my favorite scenes of the show. And it is so heartbreaking in a way, and so real. And you're absolutely right. And hate myself for forgetting this show right now.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, it would have been. I think it would have pushed Druk.
Druk?
Yeah,
That's an
the
interesting
American way.
pronunciation.
Maybe to my number 6
Have you
spot.
seen Druk? All the truckers are excited about it.
Yeah, it's just. I don't know
Are
where.
you going to
would
put it on your
this
list?
now.
I mean,
Well,
for-
retroactively, it's definitely on there.
Right.
I don't know where I would put it, but definitely in the top 5.
Right.
It's what an experience. Not what a show. It's an experience that you just have to go through. And yeah, thank you for recommending it. It was one of my favorite picks of yours.
Yeah, you're welcome. I loved it. And
Have
yeah,
you seen the Fleabag crossover by now?
I still haven't watched this. No,
All right.
I forgot about this. I remember now that you said it. No,
Yeah,
for Fleabag. Hold on, when was Fleabag? Season 2. Please be 2019.
2019, I
Please
think.
let season 2
Pretty
be
sure.
2019. Otherwise, we'll have a meltdown
I
here.
think otherwise we would have talked about it during the show at some point, right?
2019. We're
Yeah.
absolutely fine.
Right.
If I was there, that would have made my list.
Because in season 2, there's also an Irish character, I think. The priest. I think he's also Irish.
Yeah.
And through some comedy programming in Ireland, there's been a sketch, a bit of a crossover between the characters of normal people confessing to the priest from Fleabag, and it's just very funny.
Yeah, the hot priest, Andrew Scott.
It is. He is. I
No,
guess.
that was not me commenting on it. That's
No,
like
I know it's his title. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I know you're one. But
Yeah.
let's get over it. I can't believe this is your one.
Well, the best thing that I've seen is 1917, and it's one of the very first films that I have seen in 2020.
1917.
Yeah, 1917,
I remember
yeah,
back in
when
the
I was
day,
young.
back in the good old days.
I think it was the second sneak of the year.
Right,
Maybe
was
even
a
the
sneak.
first.
I missed the sneak, but when we
Yeah.
both saw it again, like I went with my dad, and you saw it again as well.
Yeah, because I want to see it in IMAX as well. And the gimmick of this film, if you don't know, it plays in 1917, of course, on the front during World War One. And it follows an English soldier, and the whole film is pretty much shot in a single shot. Well, it seems like that. There are a couple of hidden cuts in there, but it
Right.
seems like one long take. And just the idea of that and makes it so unbelievably cool and more immersive in a way, because you
Yeah.
don't have those cuts, different perspectives. You just see him living through one day in real time with one cut in there.
Well, it's
one obvious cut.
two dudes, isn't it?
It's of course, sorry, it's two soldiers.
Yeah.
Two soldiers whose jobs it is to get from point A to point B to deliver a letter.
Right.
To warn a group of British soldiers walk into a German trap. Apparently, kind of loosely based on a real story, or maybe completely based on a real story. And those two soldiers, those two friends, have to deliver this letter and have to walk through German territory. Also through no man's land, which is the area between the trenches, which if you go through there, you're pretty much fucked usually.
Yeah.
And it's just such a powerful film, and it stuck with me so much. And I completely forgot this was a 2020 film. I thought it was 2019.
Yeah.
And I think in some regions it was.
Well, in
They
the
got it in,
States
like,
again, yeah. Christmas or
December,
something,
and
yeah.
we got it in January. But I think 1917 has been released in most countries in January. So I think it's a fair 2020 pick. And it's, I am looking forward to buying this on Blu-ray. I don't know if it's going to be the same experience as in cinema.
Sure.
These big war films never really are, like when you have the sound, the big screen. But
Yeah.
yeah, you got in the main two actors, one of them character is called Schofield, Michael Schofield, I think it's Michael. George Schofield. I'm sorry, it's George. I didn't even look this up.
Is
right
it?
now.
Well, George McKay is the actor.
Yeah, and he plays George Schofield. Is
Okay.
it George?
I don't know. It just says Lance Corporal Schofield.
And the other one is Dean Charles Chapman. You probably know from Game of Thrones. He plays the brother of the most hated character of TV history.
Yeah.
I think his name is Henry. Is it Henry in Game of Thrones?
No, it's Tommen.
Tommen, of course. Yeah, I don't know why I thought of Henry. Tommen Baratheon, of course.
I mean, I didn't remember this. I'm looking this up. It says Tommen Baratheon / Martin Lannister.
Martin, what?
I don't know.
Interesting. All right, I think it's something for later in the show.
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, it's those two characters just talking and walking through the trenches, and you're just so tense throughout the film, and the way it's made, especially the last couple of scenes, like one of the most cinematic moments of the year.
That's why it's on my list.
Yeah.
The last scene where he's running.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Just do check it out. It's not the same, like I said, as in the cinema, but it's one heck of an experience. And as soon as I watched this film, I was like, all right, I have to watch this again in IMAX. And it was just as good, maybe even better. And I would watch this film again and again and again. It's just, what a surprise. I knew this film was coming out and I knew about the hype, but it was even more than I could ever hope.
Yeah.
So that's why it's my number one, the best thing that I've seen all year.
I mean, it also stars Ed the Hot Priest. Andrew Scott, he's in this as well.
Yes, and you got Colin Firth as the officer who gives them the mission, and a couple of other reveals of famous actors towards the end.
Yes.
Which is very cool.
Yep, right. And I mean, yeah, this was it won 3 Oscars, but it didn't win like Best Picture. That was the Parasite surprise.
Yeah, I root for it in 1917. But
yeah, I think it won
Best Special Effect, which was surprising. Because it was up against Endgame.
Best Achievement in Visual Effects. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's cinematography won for Roger Deakins.
Of course, the second one now.
The best one. Yeah, I mean Roger Deakins. We raved about him.
God, yeah.
And it won sound mixing.
Also well deserved. I guess more war movies always kind of get sound mixing right. Was
sure.
Also for Dunkirk and for what was it called, Hacksaw Ridge.
Did they all win? I'll take your word for it.
Like sound mixing or sound design, either one.
Yeah, a courtesy Oscar. No, I'm just kidding. I like George McKay. I think he's a good actor, but the movie itself, it barely made my list. But that's not saying it made my list. It's one of the best things I've seen this year, but I didn't but I didn't love it as much as you did. But it's certainly a remarkable achievement in filmmaking.
Yeah, I don't know how they did some scenes, and it's just incredible. Must have been so hard.
All right, dude, that's it. My gosh.
I'll mention some honorable mentions. I think there are a lot of good ones out there.
Yes, I got a couple. Sex Education Season 2.
All right.
Now that I thought about it.
It gets it too. It's 2.
Yeah. No, but I only thought about this now. I had Mangrove. Was really fighting for number 10 spot. I only recently talked about this as well. The Invisible Man.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed that movie. That movie. Then The Platform.
That one is my honorable mention as well.
Yeah, that was good. And that's sort of a movie.
It's special, yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of a hidden gem, I think. Sound of Metal.
Yeah, got that one as well.
Then one that hurts me is Trial of the Chicago 7. Aaron Sorkin, come on, man. But it just didn't make my top 10. It would make like an extended list of mine.
I would think Mank would hurt more, right?
I like Trial of Chicago 7 more than Mank. Mank, unfortunately, didn't really do it for me. It was my pick that week, but well, I liked it, but it didn't blow me away, unfortunately. And my last honorable is Blackbird.
Yeah, right.
That was good.
That was good, yeah.
What have you got?
I got my honorable mentions. I got written down Mank, Richard Jewell, Sound of Metal, The Boys Season 2,
of course,
Dark Season 3.
Oh, of course.
Mark Rainey's Black Bottom.
Mark Rainey's Black Bottom?
Ma Rainey's, I'm sorry. That's a spinoff.
That's right, you love that movie.
I did, yeah. And what I watched since the end of 2020 is Bacurau. Since you mentioned it, and since
I did mention this? When did I mention that?
On Obama's list, and I think you said you watched it as well.
I did, yeah. That's wow. Oh yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's check this out. I had a lot of fun with this, but it wasn't enough to put it on the list, but I had a lot of fun.
This was a film festival film. I saw this at the Biennale, yeah.
It was so different than I imagined. I thought
it's a crazy film.
I thought it was about the cult or something just from the posters, but it took a strong turn.
Yeah, it did.
It really then I got Nomadland.
Yeah.
Was also a great experience. Weathering with You, which I talked very early on in this podcast. Waves. Our last sneak
now
before the first lockdown.
Yeah, these would have all made your list, I thought.
Maybe if we had a top 20 list, they would have made the list. Then Platform, and of course, The Vast of Night. That film stuck with me as well.
Yeah, of course.
And I got some films written down, which I sadly missed. I didn't find anywhere to watch, and I am looking forward so much to finding them in 2021. which are Father.
The Father. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I hope it's gonna. Yeah.
With Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman.
Yes.
The premise seems so interesting. I kind of spoiled myself what the premise is. I think it would have been more interesting if you don't know what it's about. But yeah.
Maybe.
Then Driveways, which is apparently fantastic.
Yes. But that's out, isn't it?
I didn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it on Prime or anywhere.
Maybe it was just in cinemas. I don't know. Yeah.
The one film that I think most would have wanted to watch from this list is Minari.
Yes.
About a Korean farmer moving to the US.
It's so sad that we can't see any of those films.
Yeah. Promising Young Woman, a film that we've seen trailers for a long time, and I'm surprised that I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yes.
And the last one, which was on Prime, I'm pretty sure, for a while, but no longer, is Palm Springs, the Hulu film.
It wasn't on Prime. No.
Yeah, wasn't it on there for a while to kind of pay like $15 to rent?
I really don't think so, because I would have watched this. This is one of my most anticipated films.
Yeah.
And it's still not around. Yeah. I hate this. Whenever I do this end of year list, it makes me think of all the movies that we can't see.
Yeah.
It sucks. But all of those films are on my list. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those. And the last thing I wanted to mention that we didn't mention is Queen's Gambit, obviously. I mean, it's a show that deserves a mention.
Yeah, it wouldn't make my list, but yeah, it is just something that stood out, I think, for most people this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of great things to come out in 2021. You just listed a couple of them. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's going to be a lot more, hopefully. Obviously with Dune as well, and Bond, and I mean, Wonder Woman is another one of those films that came out in the US in Christmas with HBO Max, but
and some terrible ratings.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying, like, now even the blockbusters are like only released in the US in streaming services. So
yeah, they got a deal. HBO Max wanted to release all their films on both Warner Brothers on video on demand and on in cinemas, and a couple of directors, including Denis Villeneuve, are rightfully pissed about this.
Yeah, I think they might change that.
Yeah,
hopefully, but we'll see. Right. That's it. That's the first ever best of year special. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we can't do much of those. I mean, the next one will be in a year, but it's sort of compiled the essential list of 2020, in our opinion. If you listened to all of our 47 episodes before, you would have heard about these things before, most of them. Mm-hmm. But now it's sort of, the list of all lists, really, of things to watch in 2020. And obviously to now retroactively watch. Good list.
It is. And I don't know. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was a crazy year. And I'm just so interested in the next couple of releases, because I don't know how things are going to play out. And just Dune, if Dune doesn't make my next top 5 at the end of the year, I don't know what will.
Well, I said that about Mank, didn't I? Well, I didn't.
Fair enough. Yeah, dude. Shouldn't hype myself too much.
Right. All right. That's it. I mean, thank you so much for listening, as always, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope we got to recommend some things that you might have not heard of before, and hopefully you enjoy those things if you decide on watching them. And we'll be back with another regular episode next week, and I'll leave the last word up to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, especially if you listen to the whole special. That's great. Thank you so much. We appreciate every click and every listen. You can find us on pretty much any podcast platform, including YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, etc. under the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. You can also find us at Best Thing Radio on both Instagram and Twitter. Do check us out, maybe on another platform if you're interested. Recommend the podcast to anybody. It would be just a great help to us. And do check out the thumbnails that Flo creates every week. You can check those out on YouTube as a thumbnail, also on Twitter or Instagram. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe. It helps out just a great deal. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. And for anybody who stuck around through 2020, a special thank you to you. And yeah, let's hope for some great movies in 2021.
That's right. Things in 2021.
Sorry, did I say films? Whatever.
I think you said movies, yeah. All right.
Old habit. All right.
Thank you.
Then I guess bye until next week.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.